What's up guys, and welcome to another Rocket League analysis video. So, in today's video, we will be analysing Kevin. It's been a while, I'm sorry there's been so much going on. But yeah, let's get stuck in, let's hide that. And get, wait. Let me turn this up just a bit. Oh, that car sound. That's the stuff. I didn't pay attention for the first 5 seconds. How was your kickoff? Sorry. So your kickoff was fine. Not a big win or a big loss. Your teammate was back, so that was good. And this was a really smart beat here. You realize that this guy over to your right wasn't beating you, so you went up for it, which was really good. The only thing I would have recommended is tilting your car a little bit to smack it like full force, so that it actually went center. So you put it off to the side, you beat the fuck out of that guy. That guy's ripped. And you've got a good beat on this. Now, this beat here, normally I don't point out too much in the way of mechanical stuff, but the 50-50 game, you could have gone for a 50 instead of trying to like get a full beat on this guy, so end up being goal side, because he can still smack this towards the net with a good amount of power, and if your teammate's not back, it can end up screwing you up. It's something Octane users do quite a lot, is just get a 50 on the ball, and it doesn't really send the ball in a good place, but it doesn't send it in a bad place, it usually just sends it straight up. So something to be mindful of. After you grab this boost, I personally wouldn't have tried for this boost. You really had enough to go for a little bit more. You could have gone for a full beat on the guy that was pushing in the corner, and then gone for like the mid boost or something. But you actually had like 30 boost, which is enough to get the ball clear first, which would have bought you enough time. So definitely that was a boost over ball situation. So something to keep in mind. No, that was a smart for you to go back there. Your movements around the field are pretty clean, all in all. It's good patience here from you. Lol, the fuck? I think I just tried to steal a boost. And the only thing I would have recommended is, instead of turning here the way you did, turn towards the wall. Of course you have to dodge a demo at the end of the day as well. That was so close. This is such a fuckboy demo as well. There's no like point to it. Your teammate probably would have gone back in time to save it. So I definitely would have pushed a little bit sooner, but with the distraction of that guy trying to rush you and stuff, it's a little bit difficult. Your 50 could have been, your 50 attempt could have been slightly better, slightly more towards the direction he was going, instead of where he was at the point in time where you got close to him, so that you could have actually gotten a full 50 off. This was easy. This should be an easy shot. That's unfortunate, but no biggie. Like you had the right mindset there. You had the right mindset there to go for that, the way that you did that shot before. Now here, after you beat this guy, I definitely would have taken, instead of trying to pinch it, because it can't really go anywhere at this point. So I definitely would have taken an extra moment to like try to catch the ball or go for a 50 or something, because there is just a 1-on-1 scenario, maybe even a 2-on-1 scenario. Like if you were in comms and you could see it, but it ended up working out anyway. So it's definitely something to be mindful of. Ooh, I'm not a fan of this. So you were coming back to the net and then you turned around. Doing stuff like that is really, really risky, especially when you started turning around before you had eyes on where your teammate could actually hit it from. Now there's a chance that Tom was in the near side, which means he wouldn't have actually been able to get a good power shot towards you. And even then, he barely could, because the ball was actually quite close to the backboard wall, which means him getting it fully outwards requires him to be completely in the net. And people don't always sit completely in the net, especially ones that are rotating back. That was a good 50 by him. I think there's a little bit of an anti mindset here to travel away from your net a little bit. I definitely would have been traveling towards it, because it's a very predictable bounce and stuff like that. So you went for this, which is good. Then you took the boost. I would have gone on the backboard here instead of turning away from the net. And the reason being is that if this guy went for a double touch on the backboard, your defender was in the net, and that wouldn't have been easy for him to save. It would have been easy for you if you're on the backboard though to shut down a double touch attempt or a pass attempt or anything like that. So definitely don't be afraid to be a little bit less anti on offense. Oh, if only, dude. Hey, teammate, yep, he got a good beat there. Your rotations are pretty clean though, all in all. There's a couple of defensive mishaps in trusting your teammate to do things that most teammates just, like, that positioning doesn't allow teammates to do. You know, certain things like waiting outfield and stuff like that, and not defending the backboard. Stuff that will get you scored on once you get to a point where the enemies are confident enough to go for these advanced passing plays and these snapshots and these and double touches and stuff. This was unfortunate here. Your teammate smacked the ball but didn't really smack it to anywhere positive, and then you half committed for it, and then you rushed this aerial. It definitely would have been perfectly okay to have not rushed that aerial, because neither enemy was actually beating you to the ball here, so you did have a lot of time. So that was really just an error. There's nothing much to say about that, except just don't be afraid to take your time in defense. Threes can be the cause of stuff like this, by the way. If you're playing a lot of threes, you can end up becoming very finicky, because you just assume there's going to be someone back because the rotations are faster. Here was a small mechanical error as well. It seems like just a very touchy game. You know, you're nervous a lot about whether or not you're going to make a mistake, which is more likely to make you to force you to make mistakes. Oh, that's rough. We can watch this one more time. Beautiful. That's the stuff. Oh, they're whiffing too. Whole game's whiffing. Your teammates put in some hard work here. Yeah, it's put in some hard work, dude. Good old Tom. So in this situation, definitely just taking a little bit of time to read what's going to happen with the ball before you jump up for it. There's going to be times where you can't actually get a win on the ball. Unfortunately, it's just taking you a tiny bit too long to actually like read where it's going, or the ball's going too fast or whatever. And that happens quite a lot. The game's a lot more fast paced than what you realize sometimes, and that's perfectly okay. Knowing when to back away from those is important, because you can end up putting your teammate in a very awkward position. Luckily, it didn't work out too bad in that scenario, but it's a scoreboard. There it is. Ah, yeah, it's open. Oh, there it is. I need to change my bindings for that. Alright, that's yours. Easy. Good 50. So, this little passage of playback here. You just went back to the net. That could have ended up in another goal. So, if I'm going to pick anything, I'd say maybe your shadow defending is a little bit weak. Maybe that's what's causing a lot of the small rotational issues, is that you're not confident in your shadowing, which means that you're going to try to make up for it by moving around the field differently. which can make certain touches and certain decisions that you make a little bit weak because you're not including shadow defense in it. Ooh, enemy team real fucked up here, for sure. So, a rule of thumb for anyone watching is if the ball is still in your half in 2v2, don't leave the net, especially if the enemies still can have touches on it. Don't be afraid to sit back while the ball's still in your half, because making a passing play from your own half of the field is almost never going to actually net you a goal. So there's no point putting the second man up with the first man, especially in twos where a ball can fly full field without, like, at the drop of a hat. So Tom got a good beat here. Unfortunately, you panicked just a little bit, and the ball was a little bit too far away from the net, so your shot ended up going outwards. But the enemy team are the people who made the real mistake here. They had their second man roll out of the net for a passing play that was never going to come. Because why would you do a passing play on an open net? So the second man left the net and ended up... This is another one of those times where it seems like shadow defense and the lack of shadow defense let you down. Now, if you were a little bit more confident in the way that you were moving around the field, this wouldn't have been too big an issue, because you could have gone upfield a tiny little bit and rotated back towards the net, and then you would have been between the ball and the net. So when he does pull off a shot like this, it's not too big an issue. You're not stretching so far. I could talk about why you're sitting, like, right here in the situation that you're sitting in, so for notifications. Yeah, so if you're sitting here, like, I can talk about how you're defending the corner and not the wall and not the net, but at the end of the day, like, you can see that for yourself that you're in a bad position here. However, a little bit of shadowing would have gone a long way. Rotate into the middle of the field, because you missed a boost anyway a little bit. So rotate from here, instead of going onto the backboard, just drive on the ground towards the net, so that if he does take a shot, you can still go to the net. However, if he takes a backboard, you can still go to the backboard, which is actually what you did anyway. You did actually go, you sat here just in case he hit the backboard for a pass, which the mindset is there. However, you weren't defending the net because you were too committed to the wall thing. So being on the ground can actually usually be a better play here, especially as you can face the net directly instead of being on the wall, where other factors and other momentum comes into play and stuff like that. And jumping, you can't, like, when you're shadowing and the net's here and you're here facing this way and someone shoots from over here somewhere, like they're here, you're here, and then the net's here, you can jump while facing the net, which means that you can boost while facing the net and catch up to the ball, to the ball's trajectory if it's flying at you faster than your car's maximum speed. So that can be a serious thing that isn't too, like, it is really important to remember, and is the reason that shadowing defense is so important. If you're on the backboard, when you jump up, you're always jumping away from the net and boosting away from the net, which means the ball has a bigger space of time that it can get past you, because you're not matching it in any way, you're actually just traveling directly towards it. So it's something to keep in mind, is that if you were on the ground here, it probably would have been a little bit easier for you to have gotten to the ball. However, no biggie, just keep that in mind. Shadow defense is really important. Shadow defense, being goal side, and not committing up, if not leaving your teammate in awkward defensive positions. Don't be afraid to take your time with your shooting and your plays and stuff. This should be a goal. Yeah. The enemy here made a big mistake. He was shadowing, but then he chucked a full doughy. He just did a mad skid. And yeah, it looked hella sick, but, like, he couldn't do much with it. After he did his sick skid, like, did a hella dank drift. He couldn't do anything. Unfortunate. So you've clutched up in the end here. They definitely gonna feel like this game they could have won. They feel like they throw the defense away a little bit, which they definitely did. It was definitely the weaker point of their game. Ooh, ooh, you hate to see it. You hate to see it. You guys really clutched up here. What a ball chase! That was so smart to come straight off from like such a low boost play. I don't think he actually. I don't think Tom went for boost at A point here. Seems like. I think he missed the center. Oh, do you reckon he got it? No, he did actually get it. Yeah, I'm watching about that. So he didn't do too bad here. And then he ran that one, which is really good. And you guys got a couple of good beats, and you clutched the game. I bet those two are yelling at each other right now, like, "Oh my god, you're the reason." The other guy's like, "No, you're the reason. Get out of your dominus, finger everything." He's like, "You use the Chikara, you're shit." Anyway, that was actually a really good play, a really good thing to analyze, because your errors here were only small for the most part, but they were the ones that you can see cause the problems that you caused when you look back on them. The problems that were caused when you look back on them. And it's important to note that you didn't lose the game. However, you definitely could have. If they had been a little bit better on defense, which some teams will be, you definitely could have lost the game. It looks more like early day jitters, like first game jitters than anything else. It doesn't look like you're not making these major mistakes. They're just small ones, but as you get higher and higher in rank and you verse better people, those small mistakes will cost you more and more each time. And the mistakes only have to be smaller and smaller for them to capitalize and end up having a pressure play or a goal or making a save or whatever the case is. But yeah, all in all, that was actually a pretty good game, a good game to analyze. So your shadow defense, being goal side when you make 50-50s, and don't be afraid to take your time. If you realize that you have a spot of time, always take it. If there's a bounce that goes uncontested, basically as a rule of thumb, if there's a bounce that's about to happen and you don't see any enemies there, it's usually because they're so far back that they can't actually do something with a bounce. A lot of people don't realize how important bounces are in their own heads. How important the whole play is for a bounce. Most people would try to push on a bounce. So if you do have one that's completely uncontested, that is because they're not there most of the time. So yeah, it's something to keep in mind. If you have a bounce, it's because it was uncontested. If the ball bounces and you're the closest one, and the enemy hasn't challenged, it's probably because you're the closest one to it, which usually means that you have time. So yeah, a bit more shadow defense, sticking your car between the ball and the net as often as you can. Shadow defense, work on your 50s a little bit more. However, not a big issue at this point in time, because you can make up for it in other aspects of your play just fine. And yeah, that's really it. Apart from that, it was good. You did really good. The improvements that you're making are really consistent, especially your rotational ones. There was like no double commits here whatsoever. The way you moved around the field was super solid. So yeah, well done, and thank you for giving this to me. Thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a great day and keep safe in this pandemic. I see your name is COVID-19, as we can see. So obviously we're all keeping mindful, and yeah, GG's guys.